This is May 18th to 22nd, money, jobs, trading. It's a good week. It is best at best, short term. So keep that in mind. Welcome to Market Astrology and Horoscope. This is Yasko. So let's start with the money. Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini people born between the 20th and the 30th should be getting good news. If your money planets are in these signs, you will receive money. If there are hard aspects to these planets, you'll be met with a loss, cost, or expense. Look at money, jobs, trading tutorial. I think I uploaded that about a month ago. If you don't have a chart, you can get a chart from Cafe Astrology and figure out your money planets, or go to marketastrology.net. I'll upload some resources on this, or you can purchase a chart that defines your money planets or even your job planets. If you are getting bored and want excitement, I do caution you, especially if you're Virgo and Pisces born between the 20th and the 30th. If you have planets in these signs, take a step back. Going out to socialize would be okay, but not ideal. As far as relationships are concerned, romance or otherwise, like business, they tend to be artificial. Many people may be looking to buy or spend, but the things you buy, you will likely not keep. For instance, if you are thinking about buying a house, there may be a little bit of problem with the amenities or niceties. Things may not be as nice as you thought, or you may even have to spend more money after you close. So hold on to your money for now. Any deals you get into will likely wind up half-hearted. There are many nice talks about matters. Take all nice things with a grain of salt. You could get a flattery, although there is some truth. Remember, half-hearted. That's because Venus is retrograde. But Mercury is direct and well placed by sign. Therefore, there is truth to this. But Venus being retrograde, and nice things come from Venus, but that's retrograde, so half-hearted. Signing contracts are okay, but would require revisions later. You said you agree, now you want to change everything, so you walk away or you take it because you have to. That's the type of situation that you will be confronted with. Things discussed and agreed upon, just not as expected. For those looking for a job, you may want to consider utility companies, telephone, technology, newspaper, advertising, phone sales, or even call centers. For those of you who are accepting a job, this is really not a good time. However, starting a new job because you have to is where many people find themselves, and this week is better than last week. Again, the money, amenities, comfort, or something is lacking, but this is only short term. It is very likely that this job or situation is short term. If new, you may want to give it your best. Give it your best, but think of it as short term for something better after Venus and Jupiter goes direct. If you have to wear a mask and gloves to meet customers, it's not comfortable, psychologically as well as physically. So there is some sense of apprehension in the air that keeps people from enjoying even simple conversations. This is because your focus is on the negative side of things. There will be lots of negative news, so much that you will have a hard time trying to focus. Watch the new moon in Gemini. I uploaded that, I think, last week. I said sensationalism. Because Mercury is so well positioned in its own sign, these news are real or believable. There's truth to it. Okay. And for instance, recently you heard about Michael Flynn. That's sensationalism, something that is kind of shocking, but it's true, and it's just coming out. And they're backtracking, as I said, in the new moon in Gemini, even within your own neighborhood and especially in the office. There will be many gossips, but there's some truth. You have to backtrack to put it all in the right perspective. Things are still very much up in the air at your office. That's both Venus and Mercury in the air sign. It's all up in the air. Things are still very much up in the air. If your astrological chart is well aspected, you can certainly gain from the news. Maybe the information will help you. See, it's all about news and information. If you are an early air sign, take advantage of it. This week, except for Wednesday morning until about mid-afternoon, is a good week for many things, given the circumstance. Excuse me. Start your job or any outing or whatever short term. Just don't splurge or squander. Think short term. As predicted, last week was certainly a roller coaster week for traders. If you're new to this channel, please watch last week's Money, Jobs, Trading. In fact, Qualcomm and 5G and wireless, Apple, even Tesla, Facebook, Google, Verizon, and I also mentioned Nvidia were moving furiously. Nvidia merged with Mellanox, but they're both still in the chip sector. So I'm not that fond of chip sector right now. Nevertheless, it was a mover. When I mention the sector, just chart. When I mention the sector, just chart the movers in that sector. 5G is Qualcomm. We're not talking about Huawei. We're talking about 5G in USA. Already the rumors of war is spreading. As predicted in last week's video, this month is about stock market, currencies, and the coin, Bitcoin. Let's take up the currency. Fed Chairman Jay Powell took a different stance, an unexpected stance. He is usually optimistic, but all of a sudden, the Fed does not drop the interest rates to negative. He was pretty firm, I think. The market moved in sync with the Fed, or it was so orchestrated, perhaps. So the dollar is strong, and the dollar is under a lot of pressure as predicted in the past videos. However, I said very clearly that the government will make an announcement about the currency. In fact, President Trump himself talked about a strong dollar in his interview on Fox News with Maria Bartiromo. However, don't forget that the dollar is going to have another round of crisis. This has been mentioned in last week's video and in ending COVID-19 video. Finally, the Bitcoin. The coin is going through stabilization. The pandemic was a perfect storm for this coin. The government will eventually take control. Right now, the government is backing off. This is because Saturn is in Aquarius and it just went retrograde. It will go back into Aquarius, but not until next year. So Saturn retrograded and will be going into Capricorn. I didn't even know about the halving. I go by the astrological chart. I just read what is happening in the chart. Watch the new moon in Gemini. I talked about China and Taiwan. So what country is being discussed a lot? Taiwan, because of Taiwan's semiconductor. Because the US has practically declared war, I'll just say that there is a rumor of war spreading. Taiwan is supposed to start manufacturing in Arizona, I think, because US is requiring chip makers using US technology cannot sell to Huawei. So that's like declaration of war. But right now, we'll just call it rumors of war. If you're a trader, you're going to be using some trading software. I watched the Game of Trades the other day. His delivery is quite good. Last week, he charted Bitcoin using Elliott Wave, which I like a lot. I enjoy watching traders go through scenarios. 3 weeks ago, I alerted the big move on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still coming up, especially this week. Think in terms of retracements. I think he pointed out that it is a fifth wave. And then, of course, he went into the alternate waves. But that means it's up there. It's high. But, of course, he doesn't say which direction it's going to go. If you liquidated your position, remember I said retracements. If you liquidated your position, some traders would likely get back in for another ride. I did mention before that traders and investors are looking at this coin through a rose-colored glass, so don't get euphoric. First of all, I can talk about stocks, currencies, or whatever. Ultimately, it is the trader or the person making the trade who wins or loses from the trade. For instance, there's two sides to a trade. Therefore, if one is buying, the other one is selling. One wins and other loses. Yes, I said that. Apple, Tesla, or even Google will move. In fact, all three did last week, or last Friday, I think. If you sold or shorted and the stock went down, you won. If you bought and the stock went down, you lost. So that's what I'm talking about. Although many traders will make multiple trades, the one who nets a gain is the one who has an astrological chart that is receiving a favorable aspect. That is why it is important to keep in mind that your birth chart determines whether you win or lose. This applies to people seeking or being offered jobs. Monday, now I'm talking about tomorrow. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking about Monday the 18th. I'm recording this on Saturday. Monday, energy and metals, along with semiconductors, rails. You see the semiconductors, that's kind of like a follow through, because there's a lot of news that have surfaced now. So also keep an eye on gasoline. Expect quick moves, lots of trading, but favorable going into Tuesday, where banks and retailers could be dropped. You'll also see action and movement in the currencies and coins. The retailers are really in a bind and they can be dumped. Currencies and banks are more favorable along with hogs and grains in the commodities sector. I'm not that bullish with chips and even energy. Wednesday needs special attention. You can get caught on a trend reversal as traders rotate out of banks and retailers into autos, transports, wireless, software, blockchains, Bitcoin. Remember, watch last week's video on the stocks. I like Microsoft and all the software companies. So they are still the movers. You may also want to look at some utility companies too. Trade carefully, even though it's a good week for those with money planets in Aquarius and Libra. Have a good week and